Hello. Yeah, I have launched one poll. If you have got, first of all, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I have launched one poll. Uh, we'll be starting in 2 or 3 minutes.
Hello, today's session is there or no? Hello?
I could not get what you said. Can you please
Hello, sir?
go to?
Yes, sir. Hello?
Is it only me who is facing issues, or is he not audible?
Yeah, yeah. I am facing some issues, sir. Can I share the one? Hello? Hello, Raj, sir.
There is a
Hello?
problem at Gaurav's end.
Okay, all right.
Yes, sir. Hello, sir. I am having some issues, so I can share it here.
So in today's session, in the first part of the session, we have planned for creating drag on top of PDSA guide that we discussed during the last session. So is my
No, sir.
screen visible?
Sir, your screen is not visible. What do you have planned for what? Hello?
PDSA's guide. Yeah, we'll be
TDSA?
creating PDSA. So in
Sir, your voice is breaking.
upside there.
There seems to be some network issue at your end as well, sir. Jivraj, there's some issue at your end as well.
Okay, okay.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello?
Okay, so what we'll be doing today is we'll be using TDS guide, which is so this is a guide that is created for PDSA course, and over here, this is- we have these 12 weeks of content, and in there some images are also there. So this is ideal for our use case. Okay. Yes, that
So before you start, just a quick question. Since I think using PDSA, you're most likely going to skip the data scraping part. So just a quick question with regarding the discourse. I have managed to make use of the API to extract JSON from the very first TDS page, right? Which includes all the topics and filtered topics and filtered posts. But I think what remains is fetching the full details of each of the threads. For instance, if there are 120 total of 120 threads, then we need to fetch the details of all 120, right? So my question is, should it be one JSON file per thread? Do I have the right understanding?
okay. So you have one thread, and for one thread, create one file only.
Right. That's basically my question. So right now, what I did is I just made use of the API and fetched the metadata, right, which tells me that there are 120 topics, or let's say 120 topics and 120 posts. But for each of the topics, I would need to create a separate JSON. That is my understanding correct? That is what we need to do, right?
For every thread, you will need
A separate JSON.
one JSON. Yes.
Fine.
Not
Thank
for
you.
every thread. Not for every.
Not for every thread. So when I say thread, I mean a topic, right? So we get
For
topics
every
and
thread. Yes.
right.
For top. Okay.
Understood. Thank you so much.
So, Sairaj, Nandik, sure.
Hello, sir. Sir, I managed to scrap the data, but the data is in
Alright.
extremely mixed form. So URLs are mixed together, text is mixed together. So is it better to bifurcate both, or is it okay?
What do you mean by URLs are for what purpose?
Sir, in the course content page, there are URLs also, no? So I scrapped in a way that these all are mixed together. Means text is also mixed together with URLs.
Okay.
So is it
Sir, I think he's talking about the image URLs within the post itself. What I
yes,
have done
both
is I have
URL
actually,
also and image.
yeah, image is basically an URL in the post itself, content itself. So what I have done is basically I have extracted that URL and put it as a separate attribute in the output JSON. so that when we do an embedding, I thought we will use that URL to fetch the image and embed it. Is that right way,
Yes.
sir?
Yes, mostly yes. Actually, for the thread that we are storing all the data inside a Markdown file. So using that particular JSON that you have scraped for that particular thread, we are storing everything inside a Markdown file, and then after that, we have chunked. This is the solution that we have created. So it is
So,
converting Markdowns. Yes.
yeah. So what Jivraj is trying to say is one of the tips that we can give you for better performance on your RAG or your embeddings is that all the content that you get on a post, right? It will have some text. It will have some URLs that link to images, for example. All this information, convert it into Markdown files. Okay, and this Markdown file, and that should be easy because the content in those JSONs anyway already pre-formatted into Markdowns. So when you store them as Markdown files for your RAG, it creates a uniformity for all the content that you have. But one extra tip we will give in this session, which we have not mentioned in any of the discourse posts, again, this is an advantage of joining the session itself, is that one common problem, okay, that not just you will have in this uh, project, but it's a common problem and mistake that many startup projects in this field do, which is they will take an image and they will directly embed the image itself. Okay, so some of you have done embeddings already, I presume. Have you directly embedded the image? Because that's a very common mistake that people do. Anyone here who has done the embeddings on images? Has anyone done the embeddings for the?
Yeah, I have done the embeddings,
Yes.
but not for images. Like for query, when we are like sending the image, I've like done that, but not for the data.
Okay, so here's an important question. Then I'll ask. Okay, now sometimes in a discourse post, what happens is, you guys would have seen this, right? Or you might have done it yourself. Instead of asking the question, you'll just send a screenshot, but that screenshot will kind of have the question in, right? Or there may be some couple of words in your question, but you'll send a screenshot. So if the LLM is going to look at it, how will it know what is this post about if it just has 2-3 words in it? You all know what I'm talking about, right? There are posts with just 2-3 words in it, but the image will actually give you the context, right? So in these situations, I mean, you guys understand what I'm saying, right? I
Yes.
wish I had a ready example here, but I think enough of you have looked at Discourse to know that this happens very regularly, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So how will the LLM know what this topic or this question is about without? And in fact, sometimes an image itself might be an answer. So because sometimes I've done that myself. Okay, someone will ask a question, sir, where is it written, the deadline for this particular thing or whatever? I'll then not send any words. I'll just take a screenshot. I will circle the relevant item, put an arrow and say, this is where it is, right? But if there are no words and it's just an image, how will the LLM know that's the answer to the question, right? So you have to embed the meaning of the image. That's an important task actually, okay, in this process. So when you scrape the information, it is insufficient to scrape only the text, right? So the images also have to be embedded. Now, if you had thought of that, now some of you in this session might have not done it, but some of you online who will be watching this later might have done this next mistake, which is they've thought of the fact that, hey, we also need to capture the information that's in the images. because that is relevant to context. And therefore, what we'll do is we'll just embed the image itself. We'll send the image to the LLM and have it give an embedding for this image. That is the next common mistake that even many startups do. Okay, when they're trying to solve a problem with regards to RAG on content. But the correct solution is you send the image to the LLM and ask the LLM to explain in words what the image actually is. So in other words, give a text description of the image. So then the LLM will return you a text description of the image. Once it receives the text description of the image, you embed the text description, not the image itself. What's the difference? One thing is it will be super accurate. Second thing is your embedding cost will go way down, because when you embed an image directly, it will cost you maybe like 5,000-6,000 tokens. Embedding the textual description may cost you like 1/10 of it, maybe, or 1/20th of it. Instead of 6,000, might cost you like 300 tokens. So there's a huge cost advantage. There's a huge accuracy improvement. So this is a hot tip I can give you because you have attended this session. And we won't talk about this in discourse posts. Okay. So do those two things when you're doing the embedding. And what Jivraj is going to demo here for you now is he's going to use the PDSA as an example. It has text and images, and we are going to do the embeddings on the text, and we're going to do the convert the image into a text description using an LLM, and then we will embed the description as part of the document. Okay, so that's what he's going to demonstrate today. And after he finishes doing that, he will do an application that receives a query and returns a response. Okay.
Sir, you are saying first we make the image, like first we are asking the LLM to read the image. Then the second point, we have to ask the LLM to embed that the whatever the answer has come. You are telling like that, sir?
Correct. And when I say read the image, I'm not saying OCR. Okay, the OCR is not what we're asking for. We're asking the LLM to describe very carefully the image. Now that part of description of how to get it to describe the image, that is prompt engineering. Okay, so you'll have to craft your prompt very carefully. Do some test cases. Okay, do some test runs. Give it some images with the system prompt, and see if the description of what's in the image is accurately reflecting the content of the image. Okay, so it's not OCR, right? OCR has some benefit, but better than OCR is to actually get the what the image is actually showing, the meaning of what's in the image, right? So that requires careful prompt engineering. We will not show you exact prompts for that. That is something you'll have to do a little bit of trial and error and come up with a good prompt that describe any images that you find in discourse. Okay, so take some images from discourse, feed it to your, so test this independently of your project, right? So test this separately so that you get good performance, and then you can use a good prompt that works, then use that to run in your project. Okay, always design your projects in modular fashion, so you can test the individual components out until you're happy with them, and then incorporate them into your project.
Okay, sir, but right now I am facing small problem regarding the uploading of the files, because one of the file is more than 25 MB, so it's not taking in the GitHub.
So when you're saying file is more than 25 MB, what file you're talking about?
Is the database of the whole project? Like
okay, so that's the next thing we'll talk about today. Another hot tip. We're going to show you. So what did you use to create your embeddings database?
Sir, actually, I make two projects for this one. First one I make using the chat GPT and everything. Second one I use.
Just we don't have a lot of time today, right?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. So just answer the question. What did you use to create the embeddings?
What did
what database did you use to create the embeddings?
I didn't get the point, sir. I didn't get the question.
So you created embeddings, right? It's stored somewhere. What did you use it to store it?
Normal, the First is the Markdown file, one is the JSON file.
Okay, and the embeddings?
The vector forms.
Yeah, where did you store the vectors?
I didn't store I just store the vectors in the method in the Markdown form only, sir. Hello.
So I don't know how you achieved that. So typically vectors are either stored in a database, or as we are going to show you here, we'll show you a very efficient way to store them. It's
You are
using,
asking for the chunks.
yeah, the vectors, right? When you create the vectors, you have to store them, right, somewhere.
Yeah. That one I stored in the database, sir. .db file.
Ah, okay. So that's probably why you're facing this problem, right? So we'll show
Okay.
you today. This is another hot tip we'll show you, which is how to store vectors for such a small project. We'll show you how to store them very efficiently. We'll be using an NumPy archive system, okay, which highly compresses the vectors and is very performant for our use case, okay.
So, sir,
The total size of it will be no more than 15 megabytes. So it will fit on any platform.
one question, sir. So for this one, I need to replace the full project again, or I can incorporate the same thing in my project also.
That design depends on your design of your project. So that we will cannot answer at the moment. So let Jivraj continue the session, and because we have a lot of these things to cover. Okay. So but
Okay,
these
sir.
are the,
Perfect, sir.
okay. All right. Okay, Jivraj, you can continue.
So first thing we need to get the PDSA guide. After getting the PDSA guide, so in this PDSA guide, let's have a look at what all things are there. So there is one assets folder which have images, and then these weak files are there which have HTML content in there, and then some files are outside as well, and then there is one. So all these HTML files, they have a lot of unnecessary data, like doc type HTML, HTML head, and then all this meta, and then link, and then all this styling. These things we don't really need. All right. For that, what I will be doing is I'll be converting this HTML to Markdown so that it's easier to process. We get rid of all these styling because these are not. So So there is one module HTML to TXT, which I will be using for converting them to Markdowns. These are all the dependencies that we need. Let me also copy all the imports. So Beautiful Soup is for parsing the HTML documents. So Beautiful Soup can locate different elements that are present inside a document. And that we'll be using for identifying all the images that are inside. So for now, let's just use one HTML file and its path and pass it from the main function. From main, we are calling this particular function, and then instead of HTML content, let's just pass HTML path. And then after converting it, we'll be storing somewhere. So for storing, we'll store it outside this guide. So because it's converted into Markdown, so let's store it outside. Whatever file path we get, we first need to open that. Then we need to parse it using soup. That is beautiful soup we have imported. And yeah, so exactly this piece of code will convert it into the Markdown. Then this is for all the content, and let's for now just write this content out to the. And let's see how we are getting the data. So for now, we need HTML bar and Markdown, and the directory I have created. So let's side by outside compare what was content of HTML and then what. Okay, instead of opening it here, we can open it inside the browser itself. So this is home page. So PDSA using HTML. Earlier there was a lot of styling. All those things we have got rid of that. Only the useful things are here, and then created by, and then notes to students, and then index. This is index that is there, and then this is uh, for the image that is present over here. So converting to Markdown was helpful in order to reduce any extra information that is present inside the HTML. Okay, so that we can use LLMs. Now, still we haven't got the image. So there is one image as well, and we haven't done anything with it as of now. So image is generally used to present inside a image tag. So now what we need to do is we need to locate image tag using the soup parts. Okay, we have this markdown content, and okay, yeah, it is already suggesting us. Get the source, then it downloads the image and handle local image. If it is locally available, then this is how it handles. Okay, this seems okay to me. I'm not sure if it is good. So now we have got all the images. And image data is stored in this particular variable. And the image format is so MIME type is over here. And then B64 is here, and then Markdown content is here. I think we don't need all this. I will just remove it. Now, earlier we talked about we'll get the description of that particular image and we'll use that for embedding. So now let me write a function for getting the description of the image. And for this exercise, I will be using Gemini instead of ChatGPT.
Sir, just one question. You are getting this program from Gemini only directly?
Which program?
The HTML to MD?
No, HTML to MD, I'm getting it using HTML to TXT module, which is a Python module, similar to request
No, that's
module
still
HTTP.
no, you are not getting my point, sir. Maybe I'm asked the wrong question. What I'm asking is that this program that you have written, the all the imported like
He
def
means
functions and all this one we
Okay.
can get from Gemini also, sir.
What do you mean by get from Gemini?
Sir, def get description, client equal to Gemini client with open image response. Like what you are writing, we can get it from Gemini also.
You can try that out. Maybe you can.
Okay, sir.
Great. So in the client, I also need to get the API key. I don't remember all these things. So uh, let's try it with this particular piece of code. And first, we need to describe the client. For that, we need the Google API key, which is already present inside my bash RC file with some other name. So I'm using it from there. And then file,
Jivraj, can you
yes,
just,
Kalpan.
you don't have to show them the key, obviously, but can you just show them where they got to go to get the Gemini API key? Just so that they're.
Oh, sure. So for getting Gemini API key, you need to visit AI Studio, and from there, get Gemini key. And over here, you can generate a new key, create API key. Okay.
It's free of cost or we need to pay, sir? Just asking.
Gemini key, you can get it for free of cost, but there is some rate limiting that you have to respect. That we'll talk about in later part. Okay.
So one good thing is you can do all your testing on using Gemini, so that you know that all your the software components that you've designed for your project work correctly, and you're not losing credits on your AI token. So OpenAI token. So use Gemini to first test everything, and once you know all your project components are working as expected, then you can replace the bits that use Gemini with your OpenAI modules. Okay, so that way you can preserve as much of the value of your AI tokens as possible. That's what we also did. We just used Gemini for testing everything first. Once we were happy with it, then we reverted to using OpenAI for embeddings and running the whole project.
Yeah, so all right, let's test this out, and I will call this function from the convert HTML to Markdown file. So this is where we have all the images, and for every image we need to call that function. Get image description, and then
So which model are you using?
source is the path, right? Yeah, the model that I'm using right now is Flash 2.0.
Okay.
You can
Jivraj, just
change it
also
to some
show
other
them,
models.
just show them the page also where they compared the different models so that they know what all is available, and the rate limiting also is given on that page as well.
So the latest one is 2.5 Flash. And then in free tier, you can get 500 requests per day. Yeah. And then if you pay, you can get 1500 requests per day for free. Apart from these rate limits, there are secondary rate limits as well, like requests per minute. So for free tier, for each of these models, so these models which are listed over here, and so this is the latest one, then these are other different models. Okay. So this model gives you total of 10 requests per minute. And then what is TPM? Tokens per minute. So in 1 minute, you can only use this much tokens. Then request per day is you can use 500. And right now we are using Flash 2.0, right? Yeah, 2.0. So this is what we are using, which gives you 15 requests per minute. And in a day, you can get 1500 requests. All right. Now from here, I need to get that. This description, let's save it in some other file under the same folder. Let's save it. And now, and let's also print response here. ASSESTS. That is coming from image path. So in image path, with respect to this, I also need to my file is image file. Image data is and that's how they use. Over here, they are directly sending the image. So let me also do that and see the opening. But I will show you why I am opening and all these things. API key is not valid. Did I rename it to Google? Okay, let me have a look at why it's not valid. Okay. Oh, okay. It needs to pick from OS path. I was thinking there's some. Yeah, this is error from somewhere else, and we have got the information about. We have got the response from the Gemini. Okay. So text here are few creative captions and PSA. So that was basically the image was about. It was the image of some DSA bookcase there, then programming, data structure, and so all these things are written over there. And then the total token that it have used is 1970. Okay. And then the token for images 1806. Right. Right now, save it somewhere. So this image is a styled representation of programming data structures and algorithm. The central focus is a laptop displaying an open book level DSA on its screen. So that is the description. Now we need to we will be combining this description with the markdown that we have. Now for all the images, description images is storing the description of the images, and then we are appending it to the same markdown file. So now it will write it out to the same markdown file. Now after that, actually this is custom name of the markdown file, which is just output.md. Instead of that, I need to preserve weak numbers, and then we also want to parse not for just one HTML. We want to parse it for all the other files. So I will paste some code here. So the base directory is this directory. Then in this directory, what I'm doing is I'm going through each the directory. So here there are multiple subdirectories that are present. So there is week one. So it will pass through all these directories and the directories which are nested inside PDSA GitHub IO or directory. Okay. So and then it is just looking for the HTML. So it will look for all these HTMLs which are present directly inside PDSA.GitHub.io or in any of the weeks. So that's where we are because we want to convert it for all the weeks, right? And then okay, it is calling this function here. Let me call it here. And base directory is this one. Base directory. Do we need that? Maybe we might need it. I will tell you in a minute why I have copied this particular piece of code and just wait for some time. This is for making some directories. So inside this particular GitHub IO folder, we have these weak folders. So same kind of structures I want inside Markdown folder. That's why I have copied this piece of code. Okay. To get the same directory inside one. And let me write it out to output MD. Let's run it. Base directory, it is not existing. This particular image path is method. It is coming from HTML to Markdown, convert HTML to Markdown, and then particularly to get description function, and then from here. Okay. Now this file path I need to give care. Which path I'm getting from here. So GitHub IO. Parent folder of SLCs, the thing folder. Okay. Now I'm waiting for something to be generated in the Markdowns folder for one of the weeks if it generates. So now we have got for week 12. Let's see if there is any image inside folder. Week 12. Okay, this image is there. What is the description for this image? a try data structure illustrating the relationship between words in set. This the branching represents shared fixed and square indicates complete words. Okay, that is description. Okay, I'm not worried too much about the perfect description. Okay, so will take a lot of time to process it because it is generating descriptions for image. It has generated for week 9, and I think there are a lot of images in week 9. Maybe that's why it took so much time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oh, there are a lot. Like 13 images are there. So now this will get data for all the weeks, but I don't want for all weeks. I will now interrupt it in between because now we want to move forward and create the embeddings out of what we have.
So we'll take a short break here, like 2-3 minutes only. So far, if you have any questions with the workflow about how to do this part, if you got any questions, you can ask them now, and then we'll take a very short break, and then we'll continue.
Sir, one question.
Yes.
Like all these folders and programs, how you taught, like that one including the previous session also? You are continuing from the previous session, then I will watch it, the recording. This one is the new one only. Yesterday I was on work. I informed. That's why I'm asking. I don't know this one. That's why I'm asking genuinely.
In previous session, what we did was we showed how to get data from Discourse, and then we also talked about BBC Weather API.
Yeah.
From today, we
So
have started from PDSA GitHub
okay, that's what I'm
site.
asking, sir. My question is that the program that you are writing over there,
Huh?
like this one, the all the files,
Okay,
like
I was copying some code, right?
yes, this codes, the program
No,
codes.
no, it is not continuation from previous session.
Yeah, like this one, markdowns, contribute or description, HTML to empty.py, all this one where I can find actually. You're getting my question, sir, hopefully.
Uh, Titan, is it possible for us to share this code?
I mean, yeah, I mean, there's no harm. I don't think it's just snippets of different uh, parts of modules that work, right? So it's okay.
So you can share this full file like in a zip file, or what it will be like that.
We'll see. Okay, we'll have a discussion after this session is over and see what we can make available. Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. So at least we can practice something and we can make
Yeah, I
something.
mean, the easiest way to practice is to actually just try it out yourself, right? If you watch the session, just go
No,
to the relevant section and
sir,
then just.
seriously speaking, I didn't watch the previous session. Yesterday I was at work. I just today is the like long time I got the leave. I'm attending this session. That's the
Yeah,
honest
yeah,
answer.
no, I understand, but the best way to create a application is to try it out yourself, right?
Yeah, of course, sir. That's how I make 2 projects already.
Yeah. So that's what. Typically,
No,
we don't tend to share much code. The sessions are mainly to demonstrate how it
yeah,
works, and then later you can watch and recreate something similar that works for you.
sir. That thing for that reason only 2 projects already been created.
Yeah, yeah. I'm
Somehow
not
it will
having a.
created.
We're not having a debate. I'm just.
No, no, sir,
Yeah.
not like that, sir,
Jivraj,
not
can
like
you
that.
show the
In
convert
a
to
good sense we are
HTML and
telling
the
like that one.
code after file images? The one in which you created the dynamic path. Yes.
Right. Any other questions of it? This we can take a quick break and then we'll come back in about 2 minutes.
Sir, what is the
Yes.
summary till now? Like in for the 1 hour, what is the summary in?
Okay, I'll share with you. Yeah,
Jivraj, just
that's,
one more thing. Can you show the get image description where you
so
send it when you get the response from the model, the client dot models dot generate content.
yeah, we'll do that after a couple of minutes. Okay, so Jivraj can
Okay.
take a quick break. So far, this is what our agenda looks like. I hope you guys can see the screen, right? So yesterday we covered sourcing data. So the main tips were don't scrape it. Best to use just the GitHub repo. It's you get all the markdowns already there, so you don't even have to do any conversion of the information. And to use the Discourse API, we showed you how to access the API, do the authentication and all those things, get the JSON response. You'll have to run a loop for those JSON responses. So you can scrape all the data. When I say scrape, meaning you can use all the JSON responses that come out of the thread. So put that in a loop to get all that information. So that is pretty straightforward. Then today, Jivraj has demonstrated a conversion of the materials to Markdown. And the main tips, of course, are use an LLM to convert the image to a text description. I hope you've seen the power of doing that. It's much better than storing the image itself. And particularly from a information retrieval process. And then next, what we're going to cover, so what we covered is still here. Next, what we're going to cover is creating the embeddings for the text data. And here the tip is we will, rather than using vector databases, we will use a compressed NumPy array store, okay, called NPZ, which will be very, very efficient in storing embedding vectors. Then the next step of preparing the data will also be for chunking appropriately when you're creating the embeddings, right? So ideally, you want your embeddings to slightly, the context or the chunks to slightly overlap with each other. So if, say, for example, the first chunk was these 3 sentences. So the reason we have chunks is because LLMs themselves have a limit to how much they can create an embedding with the data it's given. So some 8,000 tokens for some models or whatever. It depends on the model. But if the chunk is very big, that may or may not be useful because remember, the embedding is supposed to reflect the semantic value of that information that is there, right? So the bigger the chunk, the less relevant the information is going to be. So chunking is a careful art. Okay, I won't even call it a science. It's an art. So there are some advice given out there about chunking. One thing is overlapping. So if this is the this is the part that has to be done, like section 2. One advice is keep section 2 together, keep section 3 together. If section 2 is very huge, what you do is cover these first 3 bits together. But then the next chunk should cover a little bit of overlap of the previous bit and a little bit of the next bit, so that there are overlaps. So that way, the current sentence that is mainly in the chunk will have a bit of the prior context and bit of the next context. So doing chunking this way helps the embedding performance improve. So again, this is not a science in the sense that there is no precise way to do it. You will have to empirically test it. So in other words, use different chunking strategies, see the performance, and then decide what chunking works best for your context. Okay, so chunk appropriately with overlaps. So we will cover at least. Sorry.
Sir, any particular libraries to implement something? I'm like, what should we adopt in our case to, I mean, like, get the best chunks or, I mean, like,
No, there's no
get the
library
better.
as such. You'll have to decide what strategy you will have to use. It depends entirely on your what you're trying to chunk. Okay, for us it is not so bad because discourse posts are fairly fairly small in what they contain. I mean, there will be uh, some chunking strategy that you can use. Eventually, when project deadline is finished, we will provide you a solution that we have created, and then you can see that solution and you will see what strategy we have adopted. But that doesn't mean that's the best strategy. You'll have to just come up with a strategy that works for you. That's all. So again, testing, best way to test is just to try a few questions that you send to your endpoint and see is the chunking working out correctly, right? So there's no specific way to achieve it. There's just a lot of advice from different people about it.
So actually, can you share that GitHub link, GitHub repo actually you created yesterday?
It's
Actually, I
already
was
public. This is already public. You can use this one. There's not much in it. It is just some little bits of information of what I had shown yesterday. What Jivraj worked on is on a different GitHub. So we'll see what's appropriate to share from there, and we'll push it to the same repo. Okay.
Excuse me, sir. I have
The
Sorry, yes, sir, continue.
sorry.
Sir, I have a question regarding that API fetch. I have successfully fetched all that JSON from the discourse via the
Yeah.
APIs only. So, Jivraj sir were talking about images. So, are the images included in the JSON via link, or we have to extract it somewhere from another method?
So he has explained it, right? I mean, rather he has shown it. The idea is whatever image you get, convert it to a text description, right? That is more valuable than embedding the image directly. It's
I
a
was
common
asking
mistake that
how we extract the image from discourse. Are they included in the
that
JSON?
is that because that comes in a link, right? All images are in the JSON. Whenever the JSON comes through on your Discourse API, the stuff that it sends you are links to the images, right? So
Okay,
you can
sure.
obtain the images through those links that they send.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah, so one example of this, so Anand, when one of his clients had requested to do some RAG system for them, they made the same mistake, which is they directly embedded images rather than embedding the description of the images. And because of that mistake, they ended up having a poor performing RAG system. So that's why he wants students to appreciate this point very well, which is uh, when you're creating your own RAG systems, and of course images are going to be part of it, always try and make sure to do this step, which is convert the images to a carefully described description and embed the description in your document rather than the image itself for the RAG retrieval purpose. Of course, the link eventually that you'll provide as a reference will be the link to the normal material anyway. This is just for the sake of improving the performance of your RAG. Okay.
Sir, even though if you don't share the, I mean, like Git repo, can you please share that readme file that was just displaying before this?
Yeah. This is already there. This is on a public repo.
Sir, can you place the link, please, sir, on the chat box?
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay. Right. So I see Suhani has raised her hand. Yeah, go ahead, Suhani.
Sir, I just needed to ask, can't we use Gemini API for the final submission as well? If we
Yeah,
can
you
use it.
can. Yeah, you can. It's free, and you can use Gemini for the final submission. No problem. Just one caveat I will give is, see, so each model will have its own, uh, how would I say it, its own quirks, right? So, and they perform slightly differently. Okay, but they will be all fairly close if your prompts are very good. Okay, if your prompts are well engineered, then there is the performance should be similar. Okay, so the caveat I'm trying to make is you can use Gemini to do the embeddings. You can use Gemini to do the RAG retrieval and the response generation. The only thing is our Promptful file, right, which we have designed, we will test it using OpenAI. Okay, so we will create some assertion tests on it, which work with OpenAI. That does not mean your Gemini model will not produce the same result, but there is some possibility of some deviation. Okay, so with that caveat in mind, we are telling you upfront itself that we will be using OpenAI's response to evaluate your RAG performance. Okay.
Okay, sir.
But having said that, there's every likelihood that Gemini will be just as performant if you have done your prompt engineering carefully. Okay, because when we ask a question, right? So if you ask, say, for example, one of the questions that people will ask on Discourse is, okay, when is the deadline date for the graded assignment, right? So simple, straightforward question. That answer will not change, right? It should be the reference for the answer, the assertion test for the answer has to be the same, whether it's Gemini, OpenAI, whatever it is, right? For the test to be meaningful. So in that sense, it should not matter. The only caveat I give you is we are using OpenAI to test the LLM rubric. So that's the main. So there will be some variability, and we cannot guarantee you the result because LLMs inherently have some variability in them, right? So there will be some slight variations here. So just be aware of that.
Okay, sir.
But it's perfectly acceptable to use Gemini. No problem. Okay, Lokesh, yeah.
Sir, this is regarding the chunking you told, sir, to overlap it.
Yeah.
So in
a little bit of the
general,
previous content, and then a little bit of the next content. So that is called overlapping. So when you're creating the embeddings, right, the chunks.
Okay.
One chunk will. So for example, let's say there are 3 paragraphs. The first paragraph. So one technique of chunking is saying only paragraph 1 will be in the first chunk. Only paragraph 2 will be in the second paragraph. Only paragraph 3 will be in the third chunk. That's one way of chunking. Only slight problem with that is the paragraphs usually tend to have some continuity of thought, right? Okay. Although they may have distinct ideas between them. The issue might be there might be some little bit of context required from the previous paragraph, right? So that's why they say instead of separating out by paragraph, have a like 1 or 2 sentences of the previous paragraph in the next chunk. Do you understand? So the LLM, when it's trying to do the RAG retrieval, it will be a little more performant because the context is better.
Okay. Basically, to continue the context in the same.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Because remember, at the end of the day, it's some mathematical model that's going to reflect the similarity of what you're searching, right? It's not a keyword search.
Okay.
So that's what. Yes, Muthu. This will be the last, and then Jivraj will start the session. Okay?
Yeah. Yes, sir. So I just wanted to ask about this image. You mentioned that we have to extract only the description of the image and not the image itself. So there are 2 questions related to this. So we have images from the request, and also we have images in the data, like basically the discourse and also the markdown files. So we need to embed both the images, right? I mean, that's the first question.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So you will have to embed because your references might come from both, right? So it might come from course information as well as from discourse as well. So there are, so I can disclose this to you. There are around 170 images that you will have to create a description for, and then create the embeddings for the description.
Okay. And second question is basically, so you mentioned that we have to, I mean, should we use some OCR on this image? Like you have to extract the...
Okay, so yeah, let me clarify that. So when I say get a description, I'm not meaning OCR. So as Jivraj just showed you with the PDSA thing, right? That's not OCR, right? If you look at the image, if you got OCR from it, it would be very hopeless. It would be useless, in fact. What you want is the meaning of the image, right? So that's an LLM is superb at it. In fact, LLMs are 100% better at getting meanings of images rather than OCR. So my strong suggestion is send the image to the LLM, ask it to describe carefully the image. Of course, you have to use some prompt engineering. So here we didn't use a strong prompt, okay? That's deliberate. We can, of course, make a very robust prompt for it, but that is for you to figure out how to do. But create a nice prompt so that it gives you a very meaningful, clear description of the what's happening in the image. Then in your document, right, for your REG, the Markdown document should contain, rather than the image or a link to the image, it should contain the description of the image as part of the Markdown file.
Okay, which is outputted by the LLM, which you
Correct.
previously.
Yeah. And then you embed the description. So now your RAG is super powerful because you can have a discourse post where someone is saying, how to solve this, sir? And he has put an image, right? And in the image, it will be some error is there, sitting there, right? You have seen these kind of posts, right? But an LLM now will be able to look at that, create a nice little markdown, which has the question as well as the perfect context as well, because it's not looking at an image, it's looking at the text description of that image.
Okay. Yeah. Understood. Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah. This is also useful in real life, not just for this project. Yeah. Okay. I think Jivraj, you can continue now.
So now that we have got all these Markdown files, we need to embed them and store it
I
inside
have a
vector.
follow-up question in the previous
Yeah.
context. In the previous context,
Yeah.
that means that when somebody is going to post an image in the message, and we have to find the answer using RAG, before sending it to the LLM, we also need to get the context first from the image and then give it to the LLM, because we cannot directly send the image to the LLM.
Yes, that's correct. So same we have done. We'll be getting the description of the image from LLM when the question is asked.
Asks. Thank you. Please continue.
Jivraj, your mic is not open, or we cannot hear you.
Yes. At the time, I was not seeing anything. Now, am I audible?
Jivraj, the API key you're saving in your dash RC?
Yes. API key is present in my bash RC. That's why I'm not exporting it again and again. Nathan, was I audible?
Yeah, you are audible now, but your voice is a bit low.
Okay, tell me if I need to get it better. I will start this. So we have semantic text setter that is
So your voice is breaking.
split markdown into chunks. Please. This is part of the Markdown file, and now we need to split it into multiple chunks, and then we embed it. Chunking is required because the whole file cannot fit inside the context of LLM. So right now it is a very small file. It just have 39 lines of code, but the code says yes. Let me write a function for getting the chunks.
Hello. Hello.
And let's store it in some variable. It will not print anything.
Are you presenting?
Yes, is my screen not visible to you?
It's visible for us. For me, it's visible.
And I'm also audible, right?
Little bit breaking up, but it's now better than before. Yeah.
Okay. It did not print anything to the screen, but right now it's returning these chunks. And I'm reading it from the correct path. That is because maybe I did not save it early. Okay, still has same.
The chunks equal to file path, that is incorrect, right? 32, line number
We
32.
have not called the function IDs.
No, chunks equals to file path equals to something.
We need to call the function getChunks.
So this has to be chunks. Oh, okay, okay. Thank you. Right. I use this one. So this is let's use this particular one. Or we can try it with this model as well if it works or not. I have no idea about it.
Sir, your voice is
So
breaking too much.
first, let's get chunk embedding for just
Sir,
one
I
chunk.
fixed that thing. Just to share, if we have heavy file, we can download the Git desktop for heavy files. And your voice is breaking.
Okay. Is my voice better now?
Now it's audible.
Okay.
It's breaking up a lot.
Now let's print the embeddings if it is correct, or else I don't know if you'll have to change this bit of the code. Or now let's and client has no attribute get embedding generate embedding. Okay. And we need to use it like this.
We need to get the key
So
from.
now, yeah, key I have already exported inside bash RC file, so I need to get. And this content should be the text that is coming.
No, but os.getEnv is not used.
Sorry?
Os.getEn to get the API key from environment.
Okay.
You need to import. You need to
Yes, I will
import.
And I need to import OS, which I have already done.
This recording is
So
being
this
uploaded very soon as because there's a lot of stuff is being discussed. We have to review.
yeah, it will. So now we have got the embeddings, which is a list, and inside this list we have a class variable. So first we need to get the zeroth element, and then within that values is the variable that we need to access. Now it's a array. It's array of numbers, and some 3000.
Gaurav, can you
elements to
mute your
run.
mic, Gaurav? Because there's a lot of noise coming
Sorry,
from
sir.
your.
Sorry, I didn't notice this one. Sorry, my mistake. I didn't notice. Sorry, sir.
Okay, yeah. So it is a 3072 dimensional vector that we have got. Now, instead of doing it for one particular Markdown file, we need to do it for all the different Markdown files. And then we need to first chunk all these Markdown files which are under week 9, week 12, all these things. And then we need to also get the embeddings, and then we need to store them somewhere on our disk. Okay. So now instead of this file path, I'm getting all the files which are, so this glob is to get all the Markdown files under Markdown directory, and then this recursive globe is to find all the Markdown files which might be nested inside some other subdirect. Okay. So it will get
Sir, voice breaking a lot, sir. Not understandable, sir.
all the Markdown files that we need to use. Now, once we have all these files, we need to get the chunks for all these files.
Sir, can
And
you
I think all
please
of these are
pardon?
a file.
Sir, can you please pardon, sir? I'm like, it's not understandable. Hello? Sir, it wasn't understandable. Can you please pardon a bit? I'm like 10 seconds before. It's more of your internet, sir, not about my.
Is it now audible?
Sir, it is audible, but sometimes it goes very down, so it is not understandable. Can you please pardon about 10 seconds?
Yeah, I think he's saying it was breaking up a lot, Shivraj.
Probably, I think then it is about internet, because I have also changed microphone that I'm using.
Sir, it is clear most of the time, but it was not clear before. I'm like around 20 seconds, so I was asking to please pardon.
Yeah, I will repeat that. So we need to locate all the Markdown files. For that, I'm using this piece of code, which for Markdown directory, it gets all the Markdown files which are directly under the Markdown directory. And then I'm using rglob, which is recursive glob, which gets all the Markdown files under the subdirectories as well. So it is storing path of all the Markdown files inside Markdown directory. Okay. Then the first thing that we need to do is we need to get the chunks. So I'm storing file chunks. Okay. So for each file, I'm storing chunks, and file path is the variable that I use. Okay. So it's a dictionary which have file path as the key, and then the chunk that we got as the value. Now for all these chunks that we have, we are creating embeddings over here, and then all embeddings I'm storing inside all embeddings list, and then all chunks I'm storing inside all chunks. So all chunks have basically chunk, and all embeddings have embeddings, and they are in the same order. So for that, so zeroth index, the chunk is at the zeroth index, and then the embedding for that chunk is also at the zeroth index. Okay. So far we have done. Now, after getting all these embeddings, we need to save it in some file. So right now we have stored it.
Jivraj, one suggestion I can give is while you're speaking, right, just save comments as well, so people can see the comment of the code. And if they don't understand what you're speaking, at least they've got the comments as a reference.
Inside arrays, and now I will store it inside archive.
Hello.
Yeah, he's just putting comments so that at least if the voice is breaking, you still have some context for the code.
Oh, instead of a JSON file, I need to save it inside a NumPy hard drive.
Hello, sir. I have a small question. Am I audible, sir?
Yes,
Hello.
you are audible.
Yes, sir. Sir, due to the current status of my project, can we get an extension till 20th or 19th? Is it possible?
Extension, I think it won't be possible because there are 4 days for the
No, it is. The thing is that we have to get this done by tomorrow or by 14th.
Yes, so there are 4 days for the 4 days.
Okay, thank you,
I mean,
sir.
like this project is doable in 1 day itself.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah, it will be np dot saves it. We have used TQDM to show the process how much we have got through. So right now it is parsing 9.mp. And okay, now I have got the error for. So this is 429 error, which is rate limit error. So we are generating these embeddings at a very high speed. That's why we have got this. So for this, we'll have to update our get embeddings method. Over here, I'm using rate limiter, which is to slow down the process of generating embeddings. So this is for exponential backoff. At first, wait for 2 seconds, and then it waits for 4 seconds, then it waits for 8 seconds. If it again fails after multiple retries, okay. And then how many maximum retries are possible? We are saying that you can go with 3 retries or 5. Okay. Now let's run it again. Request per minute. 5 requests per minute. Oh, that is too less. Per second.
I have one doubt, sir. Hello.
Yes, Shiva.
Yes, sir. Can if I am lagging on LLMs and some part of deployment, uh, how much time can it take to get those concepts more clear and to
I don't know an exact answer to that, but what we are using is we are using embeddings for generating embeddings, and then the other thing that we will be using is
Sir, when we are making chunks, should I combine the data from the two sources? I'm like from the discourse and the TDS content.
yes, 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 but keep it in different files. Like right now, I have this in multiple files. So week 9 is
Yes,
here.
sir.
So what you can do is get content from this course content page in is inside one directory, and then discourse threads in another directory. But embeddings you will be storing inside the same
Then
archive.
should I, so like should I when I while creating chunks should I mean because okay, so I got it. I mean, like when we are creating chunks, we need to combine them so that like when while creating embeddings, we get them into an NPX archive, right?
Sorry, but I could not understand what you.
Sir, I said that because we need the embeddings of all the data, both of the data sources. So while creating chunks, we need I mean like create the chunks from both the sources into the same file, then create embeddings of that file, right?
Chunks right now I'm storing it inside the file chunks variable. That is up to you how you want to store these things, but store all the embeddings inside one single uh, embeddings.npz archive, so that while doing a search, it checks through whole content. So store embeddings from course content and discourse in the same
Into the same file.
archive.
Into the same.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And how you are getting it into the same file is up to you.
Oh.
So now we have generated
which
this
session?
file.
Sir, if we want to complete the project in 2 to 3 days time, can you recommend which parts of the code should we focus more on, and like how can we go about it?
Your voice is breaking a lot.
Sir, is it clear now?
Yes, it is.
Yes, sir. Now I want to ask that if we want to complete the project in the 2 days, so which parts of the course can we focus more on, like which are videos that I can watch? Like today's one I have not watched. Yes, it was a little big. I'm getting a little stressed on how to complete this project in 2 days, and I'm lagging on LLMs also. LLMs, the course.
So one thing is you need to get all these discourse posts converted into the Markdown files along with the description. That is one part. And after that, whatever I have done over here, it's almost same.
He's asking for the codes. The codes that you are running, what is the exact codes and maybe he's asking for that.
Yes, about the code, I will still think how we can share it.
More question, sir. This for practice like discourse.py and all these files, in where we can get in the markdown, because I'm not able to locate them. If you don't mind to tell.
Yeah, so we are getting this JSON out of the discourse, right? So this is for
That's what I'm asking, sir. That this JSON I can make, but discourse.py, from where you got this code, or from where you got, because in this one they're asking don't download the markdown. Markdowns are already there. From where we can get the markdown?
yeah. So you need to convert that JSON into Markdown.
Agreed, sir. From where I can get the JSON then? From
But
the
JSON you will have to get it from discourse that we have showed in yesterday's session.
Okay, sir. Copied, sir. Then I check the student session again for that program. You're telling for the discourse.py code, right?
Yes, yes. Yesterday's session we talked about how you can get data from discourse.
Sir, I'm watching yesterday's session and today's session. Like, I have not seen yesterday's session. So, is it more than enough, or some other things can we refer for the project?
Yesterday's session is enough for you to be eligible to get the data from discourse, but you have to write discourse.py. So for what the information that you need to get out of discourse, that you have to write. Over here, I am just sent one request. There are multiple requests that you will be sending. You will first identify. So let's just go through yesterday's
And sir, is it
lecture.
doable in
It will give you some idea.
And if I want to get this thing done in 2 days, which parts can I focus more on? Like, is LLMs really important for this? I'm lagging on
I don't know answer to that question. So I have told you first need to get the data from the discourse and then you need to chunk it, embed it. So those are these steps.
And tomorrow also we
And
will have
apart
one
from
session. So both these sessions combined, are they are enough for this project?
yes, they are.
Okay, thank you, sir. First, I'll go and watch yesterday's session. Thanks.
So, Kaitan, should I start creating the endpoint or should we take doubts or what?
I think we'll ask what everyone thinks, right? We'll just I'll create a poll and see what because this is a good stopping point in terms of content, because at least people can try out this next step, right? Which is creating the chunks, embeddings, and things. And by tomorrow, if they have done this bit already, then they'll be in good position to do the chunking. Sorry, the application part. But anyway, I'll put a poll out and we'll see what they say.
Carlton sir, just 2 minutes.
Meanwhile, you can take some doubts.
Yes.
Shivraj, can I see the get embedding? Because I was using a timer. Right, so you use some other code for rate limiting. What was that?
Oh yeah. So
I was just putting it to sleep or something.
So I have this rate limiter, which is in 1 minute it sends 5 requests. That is because this particular model, it allows only 5 requests in 1 minute. So that's why we have that. And then requests per second also I can control. I can decide if I want to send 1 request or 2 requests. Okay. And apart from based on minute and second, this is one class that I have created for implementing minute request per second and request per minute. Okay. Apart from that, if it gets rate limit, okay, if we are out of rate limit, if it gets us 429 error, in that case what it does is it waits for 1 second if it was the first attempt, then it waits for 4 seconds if it was the second attempt, and it waits for 8 seconds if it is the third attempt, and then the maximum retries that we are allowing is 3. So it maximum times it will attempt, it will only try 3 times and then it will come out of the loop. It will stop the function. So it have two parts. How much you want to ask for this sequence?
This once you define the class for rate limiting, and then using that class in the function for get embedding.
Okay. Meanwhile, I've launched a poll, so you guys can vote on the poll. There are 42 or 40 of you guys over here. Just if you give your responses on the poll, we can decide. So my thought is, if we show you a lot today, it will be quite a lot for you to take in, especially if you are new to this kind of thing. So my advice is to try what we have shown you today, which is hopefully you have already done the scraping from yesterday's session. In case some of you haven't attended yesterday's session, yesterday's session is essential for you to be able to do today's session. So each day, try and do what we are trying to cover. So tomorrow you can try and create the embeddings and the chunking and the embeddings and create the data store for it. And then once you have that ready, tomorrow we'll be able to create the application. So then you can try out creating the application and how the REG system will work. So that's my advice. But we'll just take a poll also to see what most of you want to do. So if you go to the right-hand corner in your Gmeet at the bottom right-hand corner, there you can obtain the poll that has been set up. So just answer the poll, and then we'll do accordingly.
So on this topic, I have a different question. That for video scraping, is there a particular thing we can do? Currently I have known that we can first do transcribe the video, write like what one is speaking in the video, we can transcribe it and then do scrapping of it. Is there a particular better thing of video scrapping or something like we can do?
Yeah, with with vision models, there are various techniques and things that are possible. One is rather than sending every single frame, you send only like a few frames at a time. So what some in the industry call keyframes. send some keyframes to the vision model, and then it does a fairly good job of describing what's happening in there, and then you're able to pose questions, natural language questions, and it is able to respond what exactly is going on in the video. So I think Anand has a project. I don't know if he has made the repo public or not, but I know there's a project he's been working on where this is something that they've been trying out, where they use.
Sir, I got it. Sir, I got it. I can relate. You told us in that lecture when you told us a movie about when we were talking about. I got it, sir. I got it. I can relate now. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, I think the poll shows that most of you would like to, although only half of you voted, most of you would like to create the application tomorrow, right? So I think that's a good thing to do anyway, because it'll give you time to absorb what we have taught today and try out the things that we have shown today. And then once you do that, you will have something ready for tomorrow, right? You'll have doubts which we can answer, and then we can also show you the application tomorrow. So ideally, we wanted to show you only testing and deployment tomorrow, but what I'll do is, let me go back to sharing this. Okay, so
can we have the recording released like early, maybe tomorrow? We should be able to access
so
it.
the recording is partly dependent on how quickly Google processes the video. Okay, until they finish their processing it, we don't have the video available to us also. So that's why, like yesterday's recording kind of became available at 3 o'clock in the morning. So only this morning then we were able to then do our own processing on it and upload it. So most likely it is in tomorrow morning it will be available.
Sorry to interrupt you, sir. It is available
Yeah.
on Google Calendar.
Yeah. That on Google Calendar also it depends. Okay, so some of you had some problems accessing it. From what I had seen on the post.
Google Calendar, it will get uploaded as soon as it processes, right?
Yeah, usually, yeah. So for us, like for me, it sent me the notification that at sort of like 3 in the morning, it sent me a notification that, okay, the video is ready to be viewable or whatever it was. So we only processed it this morning. Okay. So let me go back to. Okay, yeah. So we have completed embeddings and chunking and things of that sort. Tomorrow, the agenda was supposed to be deployment of application, but what we'll do is we'll do both. Okay, tomorrow we'll do the creation of the application. Actually, sorry, let me rephrase that. Tomorrow, what we wanted to do was deployment and testing. But since we haven't created the application yet, tomorrow we'll create the application and we'll try and cover deployment and testing as well. Okay? The idea was we would show you 3 types of deployments. The first one is Versal, which most of you already know how to do. The main advantage of Versal is it's always up. So as soon as we send an evaluation ping to your server, it instantly responds. Okay, so in other words, it doesn't turn off or become inactive. The only disadvantage is its setup is a little bit different from a traditional server setup. Okay, because this is a serverless setup, right? So you have to think of your project in terms of functions. So each endpoint is a function. What that function does has to be fairly well contained for a Versal deployment. Okay, so a slightly different way of thinking about it. So in that sense, although it's not complicated, it is a different type of setup than what you're used to. So that's why I wrote disadvantage, a little bit complicated to set up. And there is a certain structure to your project where the files are located for Versal deployment to work correctly. So one is the Versal setup we wanted to show you. But the main advantage, like I said, is it's always up, right? 100, I shouldn't say 100, okay, 99.99% availability is there. Second method is using render. Advantage, it's easy to set up. It's as if you're running it on your local machine. In somewhat sort of a similar way, you can upload it to render. Very, very easy to set up. Almost no changes required. The main disadvantage of doing it on render is after a few minutes, it goes into an inactive state. So what that means then is when we or anyone sends a ping to the server, the first ping will kind of fail, okay, because it will get the render server will get a a ping saying, oh, hey, we want this service. So then it will start spinning it up. Okay. And that spin up takes time. And then once it's spun up, which takes about a minute, then it's ready to start working, right? So we will send a prompt to the server. So what we will do is to help you with this regards. We will send maybe three pings to your server. We will send 3 requests. First request we'll send. We'll wait a minute. Hopefully by then it's spun up. If it then we'll send a second request after 60 seconds. If it still hasn't spun up, okay, we'll give you one more extra minute. So within 2 minutes, it has to spin up. So the third ping, by the third ping, it should spin up. If it hasn't spun up by the third ping, then really you should think about your application design so that it spins up within a minute. Okay. So typically we have done a test already ourselves, which should really be able to spin up by within the third ping. So by 2 minutes, it should spin up is what we are saying. Okay. So we expect you to also be able to replicate that. And if you follow tomorrow's session, we'll show you that it will work that way. Okay. So if you do whatever we show you tomorrow, then you will not have an issue. Next thing is we will show you is how to deploy the application via Hugging Face, which is we'll load a Docker app. Okay. The reason we want to show you this is because it's become quite a popular platform to actually load your application using Docker. The main advantage, of course, it's Docker based, so it's fully self-contained. So it's very easy to control what your application does. And it's very high performance for free, which is extraordinary. Okay. I mean, they give you a lot of compute for free, which is extraordinary. So that's why we thought it's worth showing you Hugging Face approach. The disadvantage is it's a bit more complicated to set up because, of course, we'll create a Dockerized app and then that has a little more wrapper around it, right? So those wrappers are, of course, more complex to set up. But then once it's deployed, the main advantage is it's high performance, immediately available, and it's Dockerized. So we'll show you the Hugging Face Docker app method of deploying. This is a fairly new thing, becoming very popular, so we'll show you that. So that's probably the, if you want to call it hard, the hardest one, but it's also the most powerful one. And then this is the easiest one, but not so performant, very low performance. But for our purposes, it's not a big problem because we are only sending you a very low power query, right? 10 queries we'll send. And then, that reminds me of one more thing. Your query should respond within 30 seconds. Okay, so when we send a prompt via Promptful, it should, your application should respond back in 30 seconds. So if it is doing a lot of complicated stuff in the background and it's not responding in 30 seconds, then you maybe have to improve its performance. Okay. And then, of course, Versa will show. And then we will show you testing using prompt. So that's the agenda for tomorrow. Okay.
Sir, I have 3 questions.
Sir,
first question is that can I use Railway?
You can use, see, all we want is 2 things. We want a GitHub application, right? As in, sorry, not GitHub, GitHub, your GitHub repo. Yeah, and it should have an application or whatever you put on GitHub. We should be able to recreate your whole project, working project from that GitHub repo. Okay, that's the first thing. So any configuration files for the platform you're using, all that has to be in your GitHub repo. So if you're using Railway or whatever you want to use, if there is some setup that requires, all that configuration file also should be available because we should be able to recreate it, right? So that should be.
No, because for deployment only I'm using Railway, I'm putting the URL. So still you need the something from the recreation file, something like that is there?
Yeah, we need to see. So like, for example, Vercel has a particular file, like a JSON it requires for its build process, right? So we will need the Vercel file in your GitHub so that we can recreate that if you want to, right?
Okay, this is the thing.
Yeah. So we need the configuration as well. So not just your code, whatever configuration for your platform that you're, because we should be able to recreate your deployment, right? Otherwise, how do we know you have done it, right?
Okay, so deployment on Railway is not a good idea actually.
No, you can do it, no problem. But my main question is, my main point is, we should give us your configuration, any configuration files that are required also, we will require it. The second thing I will say is, Now, in the past, some people have done deployment on Railway, but there was some issue with regards to some permissions or something. Okay. And when we were sending requests, it was refusing requests for some reason. We don't know what the failure point was. So my suggestion is make sure that you're not the only one testing it. Ask some third-party person to test it. In other words, give the Promptful file to some friend who's living in, I don't know, in Delhi or Chennai or somewhere else, right? Geographically different location. Ask them to test it from their end. Don't test just locally from your machine, because it may work well and fine from your machine within your network. But the important thing is we should be able to test it from Singapore or Chennai, right? So because we will use a Cloudflare server most likely.
Oh, that one
and
it's the URL, right?
Sorry. Yeah, we need the URL. Yeah, of course. In your submission, you will have to give us both the URL endpoint of the application so that we can send a request to the application. Your application should be accessible worldwide, basically.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. So whatever you use, we don't mind. You can use whatever you want. You can even use your own on-premises server. No issues. As long as it's available when we do the testing and there are no restrictions. And like I said, the best way to find that out is tell a friend to test it outside. Give them a Promptful file. Tell them use this command, run this Promptful file, and see if they are able to run the Promptful file from their machine outside your network. Then you will know if your deployment is accessible or not.
Okay, if that guy is able to access it, so that means other people also can access it.
Yeah. But not from within your network, right? Don't give it to your colleague in the office and have him test it. Yeah.
I will give it to, like, I'm right now I'm in Qatar, I give it to somebody in India, it will be like that only.
Yeah. Exactly. The point is it should be accessible outside, right? Like any website, except there's no front end for this. It's just an API.
Okay. Second question, sir, like in the mention of in project is mentioned that we have to do the like curl command, something like that is there. So that only
that's for a single test. Like if you want to just see if your application is working or not, we'll do that tomorrow anyway. When we deploy our application, all of you will be able to test our.
You need a front end or you need something else, or what do you need?
You don't need front end, right? Curl, we just send a curl command, right? It's just a text command we send from the terminal, and that will ping your server wherever it is. So tomorrow when we deploy also, you will do the same thing. We will give you the URL of the server we deploy tomorrow, the application we deploy tomorrow, and all of you who attend can try it out. You can send a terminal command to that endpoint and see if it responds. So in the same way, your application should also work, is the point.
Okay. Third point, sir. You have said don't need to download the Markdown file. It's already there. Sir, I am not able to find it. Sorry to say. Actually,
not able to find, sorry, what?
The Markdown files, I'm not able to locate it.
For the course content.
No, for this thing, what Mr. Jivraj is telling, you are asking not to download the Markdown files. Is there already. The discourse.py is there already. I am not able to get that part, sir. I am not able to find that Markdown file in the link that you have shared. Also, I am not able to find it. You're not getting my question, right?
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about the repo I shared, is it?
Yes. You in that one repo you have mentioned like Markdown files are already there. Like what Mr. Jivraj is showing the
So he's
project, right?
talking about the unanswered repo that has all the Markdown files. It is public, bro.
It is public. Yeah, it is a public repo.
Yeah, public repo. But sir, can you show me where the Markdown files?
Okay. Just give me a second here.
So, sorry, sir.
I think the URL is there in the second chapter of the third week in your TDS content itself.
Mr. Harish, I seriously not able to find the Markdown files.
Yeah, so you see, all these MDs.
Yeah, this is there, sir.
These are the course content, right? This is all the Markdown files. This is the entire course content of Jan 25. All of
No,
this.
but Mr. Jivraj is showing that one, sir.
What he's showing? What was he showing?
So Gaurav, I think what he was showing is another sample. He's not doing it with the real
Yeah,
data.
like that one only, the
Oh,
discourse.py where I can find.
oh,
No, this
discourse. Discourse does not have markdowns. You have to create the markdowns for discourse. You have to scrape. When I say scrape, you have to get the data from the JSON. Right. Yesterday's session, we showed you how to access the discourse API and use the API to obtain some JSON responses. The JSON response will, instead of scraping it from HTML, which is a difficult task, we showed yesterday how to access the API. So the API will give a JSON response from the discourse. And then using that JSON response, you can extract the content of the posts, which is much easier than scraping the HTML of discourse.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
One
But
final
that's in
question.
yesterday's. But that's in yesterday's session. You
No
have to watch
problem. I
that.
will work it out.
Yeah.
Sir, one thing, like two thing projects have been made. I don't know if it will work or no. Like this is the third time I will have to make it. One question: is it possible that with your experience, I am asking, it's a genuine question for all the people they are worrying. Because for me, deploying only left. That's what I will check and put it.
Okay.
But I wanted to do this part also. But Mr. Jivraj is telling, so I will have the more conceptual clear, like how does it work actually? Because what I made till now is from the chat GPT only.
Right.
Okay. So is it possible to create this project, recreate this project again within 2 days after watching the session? Is it possible? Say yes or no.
Yeah.
Only.
Yes. Definitely.
Hala.
100%.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. One thing that might help you. Let me. I mean, in terms of understanding it contextually, that is okay.
Yeah.
There is a very nice post that someone made. Let me quickly try and find it. Not that long ago. This one. Very good. Okay, I'll just share the screen here.
Yeah.
Okay. I hope this is visible. But this post, he says, this gives you the context of what's actually happening. Okay. So you on discourse you have some posts, right, from this range to this range. So here you use the discourse API, scrape all the JSONs, and you will get some. So you will create a file, okay, that does the scraping of it. Okay. And you get all your discourse posts in, convert that information which you get from the JSON in the content of it into individual markdown files. Okay, so you got all your discourse posts. Tools in data science, now he has written here web scraping. We don't recommend this. Okay, what we would said is just use Anand's repo and just get the markdown files directly. It's a public repo. Make sure it's Jan 25 repo because there are different branches of the repo. So make sure you're using the right branch of the repo. Okay, so just clone that repo and use get all the markdown files. The next part is creating the embeddings. So that's what we showed you today. And creating the embeddings. Okay, here he has said use vector DB. So again, we don't recommend using vector DB. When you create your embeddings, two things to keep in mind is one is there are about 170 images in this entire post content. Convert the images to a text description, and then instead of the image itself in the markdown file, instead of the image URL, you store the text description as part of the markdown document, right? So if you create a, say for example, if you create a markdown document of this post, right? So your markdown document will say, hi, Carlton Jivraj, blah, 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 blah. And then this section, right, will be a description of the image, okay? And then it will continue. Additionally, I am blah, 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 and this is the post, right? So this will be one markdown file, except that instead of the image, it will store inside this markdown file, instead of the image or a link to the image, it will store the actual description of this image, okay? So that's the next part of it, okay? So then you create the embedding of that markdown file, which Jivraj showed. And in order to create the embedding, first you have to break it into chunks. After chunking it, you store the embedding. Then the embeddings all together, you don't store in a vector DB, which here is used. I think this is Chroma DB or something. We instead suggest you to use a compressed NumPy array format. Okay, because for this application, that's very highly performant, very highly compressed, and it will take the entire content that you scrape from here will literally fit in like 15 megabytes or so. Okay, 1.5. So you should have no deployment issues with that. Then tomorrow, what we're going to do is we're going to create the application, right? And the application will have a fast API server. It will take from the endpoint, we will send a post query, right? The post query will have the question and the image. The image is optional, but you should be able to handle both with and without image. It will be a base 64 image. It will take it into the application. Your application will then convert this question and the base 64 encoded image, again, the same process as you did here, you will do here, which is you will convert the question into an embedding and you will convert the description of the image into you'll convert the image into a description, and the description you will convert into an embedding. So then you will get 2 bits of items that you want to convert into an embedding. Then you send that to your RAG system. Okay, your RAG system will retrieve the appropriate document, and then you send that as the context to your OpenAI or whatever LLM you're using. It's Gemini. It will send the RAG as the context as well as the question and the query that the user sent. All of this it will send to Gemini or OpenAI or whatever, and it will get a response back, and that response back you send to us, the user, right? So that is the understanding of the workflow. I hope this query or this picture will help you understand this process. And so far we have done this section and we have done this section. Tomorrow we'll be doing this section. Okay.
Sir, when we were storing embeddings to the NPX archive, can you tell me how we stored it? In the form of list it is stored, or it is in the form of
it's a specialized compressed archive designed specially for NumPy arrays. That's why it takes up very less space.
Okay, sir. And sir, how are we going to access them? Like for particular embedding for this?
Yeah. We will show that tomorrow.
Oh.
Yeah, tomorrow we will show the RAG retrieval process from that archive. Because what will happen is, we will retrieve it from there and we will compare similarities. Basically, what will happen is we will send the question vector embedding, which is what the user has sent, and we will then ask it to do cosine similarity across this data store that we have, and find the closest ones by rank, like the top 5 or 10 or whatever it is. And then from that, we will pick one, right? The best one, and send that as a response, right? So that's what.
Good.
Okay.
Sir, for this one, the one part, 1 minute, sir, don't stop. Kindly stop, sir.
Sorry?
Can you go back, sir?
Okay. Yeah.
Like the tools in data science course content, this one, the web scraping part, you are asking us to download all the Markdown files and put it over there directly.
Yeah. Just you can get the Markdown files. No, you don't have any work to do then.
Yes. Now I would have to just download, make the Markdown file folder and put it there like the full folder.
Yeah, you just go up here code, right? And you can clone the repo. If you've got GitHub CLI, which I recommend all of you to have because it's very, very good. If you have GitHub CLI, then you just use this command in the terminal and it will clone the repo for you, entire repo.
Okay, then but I am doing it. I'm downloading the zip, extracting it, and putting the Markdown file there.
Yeah, that also you can do if you want. This is much more convenient, but because it will recreate this entire structure for you within your computer if you use GitHub CLI. Install GitHub CLI and just use this command. Everything will be exactly as it is in the repo. It's a very powerful, useful thing to have.
So GitHub CLI, then this command repo clone. Okay, then all the Markdown file will be there. But how I'll get them this mark? Oh, I will open in VS Code, then I can see the
Yeah,
markdown
yeah,
file.
exactly. Yeah, you will.
Yeah.
What Jivraj showed today, right? He showed you, right, how it's traversing the files in the directory. That's exactly how you will do here also. You'll do an OS walk across all the files that are in this directory, right? It'll just be some sort of
Yes.
loop, and it will just go through each one and get all of them. Very straightforward. No
I
effort.
will try to.
Yeah.
Because if
But
I'm in
just rewatch this session tomorrow. You will be able to do it very easily. Okay.
so, sir,
Sir,
I know one thing for sure. I know if I am able to make this two project now, anybody can make it because I know my knowledge is not that much good enough.
Yeah. And I'm
I'm
100%
not.
confident you'll be able to do it because we have given you all the
No,
ingredients
I'm
and
saying in a,
yeah,
not in a, like I know my capability. If
yeah,
I was able to make the two project working right now,
yeah,
anybody can make it. And after
yeah,
seeing this one, I will try this part also.
yeah,
That's why
sure.
I wanted to do.
Fantastic. Great,
Yes,
great. Good.
because
Awesome.
I'm totally my this is not my field at all. I'm telling on. I'm from aviation background actually.
Okay.
Aircraft maintenance. That's the
Yeah. Yeah,
that's
no, that's
my
brilliant. That's amazing because
yeah.
if you're able to do this, you will have a leg up over half the developers out there, man. Because everybody does not understand this concept that we are doing now, right? The usage of LLMs and all these RAG and all this sort of thing, right? Making
Yes,
intelligent applications. So you will have a big advantage over a lot of people out
yes,
there. Okay.
for sure. Thank you so much, sir.
All right. No worries.
Am I audible, sir?
sir,
Yeah.
sir, a very
So if we are using the markdown files like which you have shown earlier, so
Yeah.
they do not contain any video. So we don't have to deal with the videos.
No, no need for videos, right? Videos are not part of the thing that you have to worry about. Just if there are images, images would be useful, but I think there are hardly any images in them. Mainly, most of the content is verbal, right? Words rather, right? So course contents are mostly words. Videos will not be. We are not expecting you to deal with videos.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
so one mark if your GitHub repo includes a script that scrapes the discourse post. Okay, sir, that's a bonus mark. So I'm like taking the JSON input from the API and then parsing the data. Will this be considered as scraping or like HTML scraping is the only scraping?
Uh, Hang on just a second. Let me start with one. Right. That's not what I'm looking for. Data science. But is it not? Yeah. Okay. So you're asking about the bonus question, right? One mark if your GitHub repo includes a script that scrapes discourse posts. So we don't care how you scrape it. Okay. The main point is there should be a py file of some sort, right? A script. In fact, it doesn't even have to be a py file. If you're comfortable using JavaScript, if you're comfortable using Bash script also, that's fine. Basically, it should be a script that we give it some input, which is we want discourse post from this state to this state, right? If it's able to do that, then you get one bonus mark. If your repo has a script that does that.
Okay.
Yeah, you understood, right?
Yes, you got it. This. I'm like that's a workable
Yeah.
scrap.
Yeah.
Anyways.
It's just any nice working script that gives us that scrapes discourse posts, right? So ideally, if so, the reason I'll explain why. So at the moment, it's there are many ways to do it. Of course, we ideally would want it. This is just a tip again because you're attending this session. Ideally, we would, if we are going to use it as a post team, we would want all the discourse posts to be, for example, each MD file would be one, perhaps one thread, and all the posts within it might be in one Markdown file. That's one possibility. Or each of the individual replies in there might be Markdown files. The way you would segregate it will matter. Like, is it easy for us to access what we are looking for in the information that is there. So we are interested in seeing what solutions students come up with, right? So that's the basis of it.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Hello, sir. Can I ask?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sir, I'm not a coding background. Whatever the Jira's sir explain about the embedded coding, will it applicable for me? Because you say something about in TDS course post there is a whatever Anand sir GitHub where there is no images and Jevras is right in the form of images like will it work for me or need some changes?
So your question is, can you repeat your question exactly? What your question is?
Question is regarding whatever the embedded coding Jevras explained today.
Yeah, yeah.
Will it? I'm not a coding background. If I'm
Sure.
writes the same code and run the application and make the embedding file, will it work for me or need some changes?
Some changes will be required because his embeddings specifically was to deal with the Git with the this one, right? The PDSA thing he had created the code for. So some tweaks are needed to your code, but the main idea of it is there already, which is the code that he created today. It creates so first thing is you need an archive of Markdown files. I hope you understood that part, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So one directory full of Markdown files will be there, which you got from Anand's website, from the public repo. You will have one set of Markdown files. Another set of Markdown files you will have, if you watch yesterday's session, another set of Markdown files you will have will be from Discourse, right?
Yes.
So you will have two sets of Markdown files.
Yes.
So this is the entire resource that we are going to search. Yeah. So
but discourse post is like a JSON file.
Yeah, but what you have to do is not embed the JSON itself, right? Because the JSON has lots of garbage information in there also, right?
Yes.
Within the JSON, so JSON is what? It's just a dictionary effectively, right? So in the dictionary, you only want a particular key, which is the content of the post, right?
So convert into Markdown.
Yeah. So those content of that post, convert it into a Markdown files, and those Markdown files becomes your second set of archives. Okay. Use GPT to help you do that conversion because at least you know the structure of the JSON, right? So you can tell if you don't understand how to get it to convert that into a markdown for a whole set of JSONs because you will have a whole bunch of JSONs, right? So effectively some sort of loop you have to run through each of those JSONs, extracting that particular key value pair that takes the content and converts that to a markdown file for you. Okay. So once you've created two sets of markdown files, which is course content and discourse content, now the next step is create the embeddings, right? So today's code was about creating first of all, you have to chunk them because you can't put some of the markdown files may be too big for a chunk, right? So you have to chunk them. And so he has shown you the code up there, which chunks the files. And you have to do that for each file. So each file, chunk the file. And then each chunk, you create an embedding. And then you create a whole list of embeddings. Then that entire list of embeddings is what you store in an embedding archive. So that's the flow.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. I hope that clarifies for you in your mind what the logical steps are happening.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So if you rewatch this video, I think you will get you will understand because now you have the picture in your mind, right? What's happening.
Yes.
Okay. Unfortunately, I don't have my tablet here today, so I can't really show you pictographically what's happening. But hopefully you got the context. So give it a shot, and you should be able to do it. And tomorrow, like I said, we will take some doubts as well tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll create the application. If necessary, we'll have one more session. So tomorrow is Thursday. Hopefully we'll have a fully running application by tomorrow. and then Friday we can possibly take some doubts if you're encountering some specific issue. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, I think that's about it.
Sir, one thing, just last one thing. Sorry, sir, you are going.
Gaurav, one second. So Mokshada has raised her hand and Muthu has raised their hand.
Please, I will wait.
So, okay. So Mokshada, could you?
Sir, is there anything
Yes, sir.
we are? Sorry.
So about the test case that's there, the first test case in the YAML file, it's actually the link that is expected is not within the range. So
Correct.
the response is not getting generated for it. So that test case is failing when I'm running
Yeah,
the
yeah,
file.
yeah. Understood. Yeah. So you will not get any questions that are out of scope. That's just an example file that we created, so that you have an idea of what test, how a test is created, and what they look like.
Okay.
So you will. So the goal of that is you should actually create your own test cases in that file. And if you want to understand how to do it better, so you can create. So we won't use only those kind of tests, right? We'll use all kinds of tests. So what I would suggest is go to the Promptful. In yesterday's session, I showed this. Go to the Promptful documentation for tests and see what the different kinds of tests are, and then you try out making some test cases of your own. Create some questions that are from the range of we are expecting, and create your own assertions for those tests. And I strongly advise watching the section in Tools for Data Science, the section that says LLM evals. Okay, there is a video in that, excellent video. If you, in fact, watch that video, you will understand very clearly how the testing occurs, and you will be able to create good, robust test cases yourself. So that's what I suggest you do, and then you will get it.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yes, Muthu.
Yeah, hi sir. I just actually finished this project only with the URL and the text, so I did not deal with the images because I just wanted to take small steps in the beginning. So currently I have to integrate. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no issues.
Yeah, so currently I have to integrate these images just from scratch. So I have to edit the, kind of my repository fully. So I just do not know if I have to append the description of the image to the text and then create the embeddings, or because for me, in my case, the chunks is a collection of JSON objects with the key value pairs. So basically it has the text and the URL and text and URL and text and URL. It goes like that. So should I now? I just don't know how to take the next step because, as I mentioned, I never did dealt with the images so far. So only my chunks contain text and URL fully.
Try different approaches. See what works is my advice, because it's not a science, right? It's a bit of an art actually. So you can try an approach where you're to the content itself of your JSON, right? So your JSON will have some content, right? Within that content, you will have URLs of your content, right? As in URLs of the images.
Yes. Also,
right. So what you do is in your workflow, replace that URL with the description of the image.
Okay.
Right. So what you can do is when you have an image, you can maybe, for example, use some backticks to indicate that this is a description of an image for this document, right? And so you can create that kind of a template. If I were you, I would do that to give that like I said, your performance of your RAG will matter on how you construct it. So just experiment and see, and then run some tests. That's the best thing I can say. Run one single test, right? You don't even have to create a Promptful file. Just send a question, send a image, and see if you're getting an expected response that is accurate.
Okay, and the embeddings we usually create only for the text field, right? So so we should create embeddings for two different fields. Is it like that? If I because
so
if I
embeddings, the context is important because the image is part of the document, right? So the chunk that you're effectively creating from the file ideally should have the images part of it.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I will just try out some different techniques.
Yeah. Try experimenting a bit and then see what happens. And don't do it on the whole set. You can even just do it on a very small subset, right? Just for experiment. And use Gemini because it's free, or use some free open model to just experiment and see how it works.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Right. We are at 10:43. So we really need to wind up very quickly. Is it a quick question, Rutuja?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yes, sir.
No.
Okay.
Rutuja had raised her hand. So.
Yeah. Sir, you'll be using the Promptful for evaluating the API, right?
Yeah, we will use Promptful.
Yeah. So suppose you put 4 questions and the API is able to answer only 3 of them. Is it okay?
We will actually send 10 questions. If you look at project evaluation, we will send 10 questions. Each questions will have several tests. Okay. If you look at the YAML file, there are various assertions on each. So I'll just quickly share this once again. I showed this.
File which is on that page, no, the assignment page, it is not opening for me.
This file, is it?
Yeah, this.
It should work, right? I just opened it from the page.
Okay, I'll check again then.
Yeah, it should work. So, so you see these tests here, right?
Yeah.
And you see these assertions here. This is why I said watch the video, because the video will explain it even better than I can. But the whole point is, so this is one question test. Okay, this is another question test. This is a third question test, and this is a fourth question test. So we'll send 10 of these like this. Okay, so this is this top part, right, is what it will send initially. Okay, so this is the question, and if there's an image file, it will send an image file, and there will be some link or something that is associated. Okay, and then the next thing is what the assertions are. So assertions are like your imagine if you have a question that has 4 marks, okay, and each part of the question is 2 marks each. Okay, so that is what this is. Okay, so the first thing is something called a type of test called LLM rubric. It is where we ask another LLM to evaluate the response of your LLM. Okay. So that is a kind of test. But this test is using, so for example, this test will use whatever model we use internally, okay, which is probably going to be GPT-4o mini or something like that, 4.1 mini. Okay. So that is one test. So if your application passes this first test, so you may get half a mark. Okay. Then for that same question, there's another test called contains. Contains means your response should have this exact value in there. Okay. If it does not have this, then you will fail this test. That's what the contains test means. Okay.
Right.
So that's another type of test. So maybe that will be half a mark. So if you get both of these right, you will get 1 mark for this. So like that, we'll send you, I forget, I think it's 10 questions and 2 marks, right? Yeah, 2 marks for each question. So if it passed this LLM rubric and this contains for this first question, you will get 2 marks. If it only passed, say, for example, the LLM part, but not the contains part, you will get 1 mark. So each question may have, so this one, if you look, for example, this question has 3 assertions, right?
Yeah.
There is a first test, which is an LLM rubric. The first rubric asks, does your response recommend Podman for the post? So the LLM rubric will check your answer and see, does that happen? The second LLM rubric test will be, does it mention that Docker is an acceptable response? So remember, this is not exact matching, okay? Your LLM will just check contextually if your answer mentions this, okay? It doesn't have to be word for word, this, right?
Okay.
So that's what the LLM rubric does. But there is a third test, which is a contains test. Now, apart from these 3, there are many other Promptful types of assertions, and I've shown this yesterday.
Yeah.
So if you go here, overview, there are many kinds of assertions you can use. Okay, weights, thresholds, values, etc. So, and it gives examples of how you can do these various tests. Okay. So we may use from this menu of tests, any kind of tests, right? Deterministic tests, model assisted evaluated metrics, weighted assertions, whatever we want. There are all kinds of tests. We may use, use a different set of tests. There's even a Levenstein test also, for that matter. Okay. I think if you've done PDSA, you know about the Levenstein distance, right? So there are even those kind of tests, etc. So, my suggestion is have a look at this. Watch the video as well, the LLM evals video that is there on here, which is in the third week, LLM evals. Yeah, this video is fantastic. It will give you a good idea. And my point is, create your own tests. Okay, we just gave this as examples. Create your own tests and see how it works
Okay.
with your own assertions.
Okay. Thank you,
Yeah.
sir.
Okay. Gaurav, you'll be the last question, and then.
Yes, sir. For example, sir, I can share my screen.
Yeah. Okay.
Like this is it's already been deployed. Okay.
Yeah.
So how do we check with the YAML file?
So you have to run the prompt from the command line, right? That's how you test it. If you go to the project page, if you go to the project page, right, there is a YAML file that you can download, right, which I just showed just now.
Yeah, YAML file is there. YAML file
Yeah.
is there with me.
And then you have to run the command, right? You have to use npx, which is a package, node package manager.
Sir, can I send this URL? Can you just show how to run it, if you don't mind? So I will be knowing it also.
You have to configure. So one thing is the YAML file itself, you have to configure it correctly. So to configure it, there are some things that you need to change in the YAML file, right?
Yeah,
So
I
first
need to
is you.
change this one, localhost.
Yeah, and then you have to give an API key to your YAML file, and
Yeah, this
then
one already
the.
there. If I just put this thing in my YAML file, it will be okay, right? Because this is my API key to a /query. This is the one I have. If I put
No,
it
no,
here,
the key, the API key is the one for your LLM.
oh, the AI pipe.
Yeah, because there is a test, right? There's an LLM rubric
Oh,
test.
yeah. That is there.
Right?
If that is there, it's already saved.
Yeah, so that needs to be put in your. So if you look in your YAML file down near authorization, it's expecting a key over there, right? Look down there. It says replace
Yeah,
with
it's
your.
there. It's already put in the
So
ELE file.
so there has to be a key that in this case the key is called API underscore key, I think. So there has to be a key there that
So
represents.
you will test on my key, right?
No, we will use our own key. We are going to use our own YAML file, right? We won't use that YAML file.
Okay. So
See, this is a public test case. This is a public test case, right?
okay. So one thing that you will change URL, you also will change here, or you will not change.
So URL is what you give us. If you give us an endpoint, right? Right now the URL you have put is localhost, right? But we cannot access localhost.
No, this is not the local host, sir. This is the railway URL is there.
So that URL is what has to be in the YAML, right?
Sir.
If you go back to the YAML file.
Okay. YAML. Okay, I put it here, right?
Yeah, that is what you have to put there.
I put it there. Then after this one, what I have to do, sir?
Yeah, and as long as the other bits are configured correctly, which is the API. If you look at down near URL of
I put it here.
Line number 29.
Line number 29. Okay.
Yeah, line number 29. As long as that's correct as well, which is the URL for the AI pipe, because that's what you got to use. So I think you're using AI proxy instead of AI pipe. So that you have to change, and then you give the right key. Then if you run the YAML file, it will ping your deployed solution.
Yeah, I already did this one. Question. Okay, sir. Got it, sir.
Yeah.
This one only thing you will change this one URL you will change, and this is, for example, the URL just you showed is for the India. Okay. Okay, and this one is now, if it is showing like this, that means it is working internationally also, correct?
Yeah.
Because this URL, this is not my URL, this is my friend URL. It's sent me from India, deployed on railway.
Sure.
Then this is my API key.
Right.
So I run the npx command.
Yeah.
So okay, sir, thank you so much, sir.
Yeah. Okay. No worries.
So this way only the session will be run, right? Correct.
Correct. We will run it on our end on our server. Yes.
Okay, but you will change the YAML file, correct? Or some...
We will use our own YAML file. We won't send you the YAML file. We will run just like you ran it on your system.
Yeah,
We will
just
run
like
the YAML.
I change it here, you will also change it here, right?
Yeah. So on the submission form, have you looked at the submission form?
Submission form?
Yeah, you have to. So if you go to project page, go to project page.
Yes. GitHub repository and the URL. That is okay.
Yeah. So when you send us that form, part of that form is you're sending us the URL, right, of your application.
No, I only see that small part is there, where the enter is there. I didn't know that this is belong to a full form. You are talking about this one only, sir, right?
See, go to the project page.
Yeah.
No. Tools in data science project page.
Yes.
Just
what I'll tell?
Yeah, just should be tools in.
Yeah, okay.
I'll give you the link.
Yeah. Thank you. Sir. Sir, this one?
Let me see. Yeah. So there should be, so you see there, submit your URL. There's a URL there. Yeah, click on that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, have you seen this page before?
Yes.
So at the bottom there, right?
Yeah, this one.
We need your endpoint, right? We need your server, whatever your server is, right? So you have to put it there.
Yeah, like this same thing you want, like
Correct.
this, like full
Yeah.
this thing you want it there.
Yeah, because that's what we will test.
Oh,
so in
okay.
our YAML file, we will take whatever you put in that number 2 there. In our YAML file, we will use that URL.
Yeah, and it will work like this only.
Correct.
So you will see how many test cases are passing and everything.
Correct.
And and this like duration 13 seconds, so it's okay. If it is more than 30 seconds, that means there is some problem.
Yeah. So for each question, we'll allow you 30 seconds to respond.
Oh, it will not be one YAML
So it's not
file.
so it's not 30 seconds for 10 questions. Okay. It's basically each question has to respond within 30 seconds, right? So yours completed all 3 questions within 13 seconds, which is very fast.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
Now I got it something.
Okay, good. Fantastic.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah. No. Okay. Thanks, everyone. I hope the session was useful. Again, tomorrow we'll actually do the application deployment. We'll show 3 deployments and show you how to test it. And then everyone who has attended this session, it's my expectation you guys get the best score, okay? Because we're giving you hot tips, right? That's not on Discourse. So I'm expecting good things from you guys. Chandra Mokshada. Okay, so Mokshada, really, this has to be the very, very last question. It has to be very quick. Okay.
Yes, sir, it'll be very quick. Like any heads up on the deadline extension, because the project sessions are held very late, and some, like I have done the project like almost twice, and some minute details are left. So
at the moment, it will depend. So it will depend on what data we are seeing, right? So how many people, when people are doing the submissions and things like that, we'll have some data, some preliminary data. So we'll look at the preliminary data and make a decision. But as of now, the assumption is that we still feel that by 14th, end of day 14th, most students should be able to do it. Especially if you've watched all the 3 sessions, which is also including tomorrow. So we feel that it is doable within a couple of days.
Yeah, like tomorrow the last session would be held. So, like at least a 3 to 4 day buffer, like was what I was expecting.
I mean,
Yeah, it's actually a 3 to 4 days buffer would have been good. Correct.
yeah. Well, there is would have been good, and then there is better and best, right? So we will see. I cannot promise you anything. So at this stage, just make the assumption, and it's a very good assumption to make, that by end of Saturday, try and get your projects done. Okay. That is my strong recommendation, because in truth, week 3 finished quite a while ago, and in reality, okay, we are not teaching you anything new. Really, we are only just helping you string the components together. So if you had if you have done week 3 properly and week 2 properly, we expect that you actually have all the knowledge and the tools required to complete this. So we have not taught you anything new, really. Only thing what we have done is we have given you some very good pointers of good practice, and we have helped you string those bits and pieces that you learned together into a cohesive project. So that's what these sessions were. So I understand it's challenging. I take that into consideration. And also I appreciate that some of you are not from a coding background, so it takes time to absorb this. But the pressure is also good. Okay, having pressure is a good thing, because it helps you it focuses the mind when you're under pressure, and we will see what the outcome is. Okay, but I can't make any promises. The main thing is there was a lot of time given for it, and we are trying our best by giving you a lot of these sessions, right? So our
Yes,
expectation is you will
that's
get
helpful.
2 full days. You will get, right. So just please try your best in these 2 days.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Okay. Thanks everyone, and have a good night. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you. Bye.